So Simran and Karishma, if you want, we may start so that we have plenty of time ahead of us to, engage with the people in the chat and tell them all the interesting things we're gathered here to tell them today. Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's workshop. In this workshop is organized by School of the Future International Academy, in short Sophia, together with Rangeet. I'm Natasha Nika. I come from the Sophia team, and I'm welcoming you to this call on this workshop that focuses on how we can transform our classrooms, enhancing learning with the SEEK curriculum and technology. Rangeet, the team from Rangeet are here to speak to us, to tell us everything about the SEEK curriculum and their very, very interesting and useful platform. And Sophia is here to give you more, to equip you with the knowledge of how, as school leaders or department leaders or even teachers, you can incorporate a new curriculum into your educational system in the most effective way, and in a way that will in a way engage different stakeholders of the school, so everybody will have agency of this new introduction. So Simran and Karisha, I don't know if you want to make, to say a quick hello before we start, speaking about our organizations in more details.
Hey, Natasha. Hi, everyone. This is Simran from Rangeet. And Natasha, you gave a great introduction. Why don't you go ahead? When we start, we'll do a little bit of an introduction to ourselves. So please go for it.
All right. So today we will start today's workshop with an ice-breaking activity, if you all agree, just to see where your opinions are and what you think on certain important topics. So to do this, we will use Mentimeter. Mentimeter is an online tool that we use to do ice-breaking activities at the beginning of sessions. So what we will do is I will share my screen, and you will use your phones, and you will scan the QR code you will see on your screen. If you don't have access to your mobile phone and you can't do that, you go to, I will leave it in the chat. You go to menti.com. And when the website asks you for the code, you will use the code I'm leaving you on the screen at the moment. Just give me 1 second to copy paste it correctly. There's an easier way. I can give you just the participation link and you won't have to enter the code. So you either go to menti.com and you use the code you'll see on your screen. You use the QR code, or you just click the URL I have left in the chat. So if you could all go there, let me share my screen as well. To do this little activity to just get to know each other and know our opinions and know where we all stand. The first question has to do with your expectations from this workshop. So you choose one of the 4 options. What are your expectations for today's workshop? I'll give you some time to join the Menti and start replying. So we see that most people are here to either find out more about seek or explore ways to use technology in school administration. Very good. Very good. Few people are here because they want to discuss the benefits of integrating the SIG curriculum at their school. And fourth category, which I think is the same number of people as the third, they want to develop their leadership skills in general. I will wait until maybe a little bit more people reply. All right, no big changes. Let's move on to the second question. Can you see the new question on your screens? Perfect. So what do you think is the biggest benefit of incorporating social, emotional, and ecological learning into your curriculum in general? What have you identified as a key benefit from your school environments? You select the answer and click submit for us to be able to see it on our screen. A lot of people identify as key benefits the enhanced student well-being and mental health that this brings with it. And then other people see as a key benefit the fact that students develop empathy and social skills. Also, a lot of people say that it promotes sustainable living. The promotion of sustainable living practices is also a key benefit. I agree with all this. Me personally, I chose development of empathy and social skills as the key benefit I see behind incorporating social, emotional, and ecological learning into a school curriculum, without saying that the rest of the benefits are not important. Last question for this activity. Which leadership skill do you feel is the most important in today's environment? Sorry if this is very small on the screen. I feel that on your mobile phones it looks okay. This is a number of leadership skills that we find and we've seen from research that are essential for leaders today. So you tell us what you think is here. You can rank it or just choose the three more important ones. Perfect. People are submitting their answers. Decision making and problem solving seems to be the leader here, the key leadership skill that people identify school leaders in modern schools to need. Strategic planning and vision setting is also very important. Today we will speak about this a lot, how you can incorporate in your school's vision this ecological and social emotional learning and agency for your students and what the benefits are. I would leave that to the Rangeet team. Financial and resource management is the third leadership skill that people identify. We can all understand in the modern day and age why this is. Effective communication, team building and staff motivation, change management, data analysis and use in decision making, meaning the data, and conflict resolution and mediation are the rest of the leadership skills that people feel are important in today's schools. Perfect. There's no right or wrong answer. It all has to do with experiences and, of course, specific learning environments that you might take as examples in answering these questions. But I feel that, I would also choose as the first three the exact ones that you have chosen: decision making, problem solving, vision, and financial resources and financial and resources management. Thank you very much for your input to this activity. I feel that we have seen the opinions and the way people think. It comes as no surprise to me that we are all more or less on the same page It seems that, you know, if you are inquisitive enough to come to a workshop like this, you see education and school leadership and the importance of social, emotional, and ecological learning, the same way as in Sophia and people in Rangeet see. Without further ado, I will pass the floor to Simran and Karishma to start speaking to us about the SICK curriculum, and then I will take the floor to speak to you about effective processes and technology tools you can use to incorporate a curriculum like this in your environments. Thank you very much again for joining this workshop. Karishma and Simran, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Before we get into Rangeet, Simran and I will just introduce ourselves. Shujna, you can go to the next. My name is Karishma, and I am a co-founder of Rangeet. My responsibility lies with curriculum development and design. You'll see me in this photograph sitting at the back laughing. Don't be fooled by this. The only reason I'm laughing in a classroom is because I was a visitor. But truth be told, I hated school. They were the worst years of my life. I think if you're a student who excels academically and does really well in math and science, school is a great place to be. However, if you are a student like me, who struggled with things that seem to come very easily to my classmates, school can be a very brutal place. And as my test scores tanked, so did my self-esteem. I grew up believing that I was not as smart as everyone else. The reason I am so passionate about what we do at Rangeet is because my hope is that, you know, there are many little 13-year-old girls like me in classrooms who feel like they don't belong. But through Rangeet, and we will of course describe what it does, if they feel a sense of inclusion, a sense of belonging in a classroom, I will feel like a little bit of my job has been done. Simran?
Great. So I'm Simran. Karishma and I started Rangeet together several years ago, and it started because maybe for many reasons, but this was a catalyst, this moment. I was teaching in a government school in Mumbai, and this photograph was taken, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago. I was teaching English to a fourth grade class. And in this fourth grade class, we had, I think, something like 40 kids. A lot of the children were anywhere between 8 and 14. And I got kind of intrigued about this big age range, only to find out that the boys were all age appropriate, but the girls were being denied education. And so they were more like 12, 13, and 14. And the reasons they were being denied education were quite heartbreaking. In this classroom was this girl who I'm interacting here with. And I was told she was autistic, but she had the brightest eyes. She wanted to say so much, but couldn't. And as I reflected on this day, I thought to myself that the children in these classrooms are defeated at birth. They're victims of a birth lottery. And really, they can't find their way out of where they are. And Karishma and I resolved to bring a curriculum. We didn't want to teach math or science better. I don't think we have that experience. But we wanted to change certain things in the world that we didn't like, gender discrimination, discrimination of all forms, fear of climate change, mental health issues. And so it was with that backing and background that we just took it upon ourselves to begin this journey, which has brought us to this point today where we're running a company called Rangeet, which has its curriculum. We've developed an app, and we're working at scale across India, and we're now spreading our wings abroad to the to the UAE, South Africa, and Nigeria. So really exciting journey, difficult journey, very exciting journey. And it's a journey we'd love to take you on and tell you more about. Srujna, could you go to the next slide, please? So we're going to do a quick video for you, and we go forward from there.
Welcome to our classroom, where each of us can be ourselves because there's something here for everyone. My school nurtures my creativity as much as my friends' thinking, math, or science skills. We are encouraged to be mindful, grateful, courageous, and to look after our mental and physical health. Hi, I'm Sarah. I love to paint. Who doesn't like to get their hands dirty? But do you know what I love most? Football! I can take anyone on. Hey, why are you sitting alone? Come join us. Some of my friends don't like sports, but we make up for it by singing and dancing and listening to and learning about each other. The thing about having fun is we end up making a mess. Yikes. Come on, let's clean up. Let's see what goes where. I've been taught that each of us is responsible for our actions and that our actions have consequences. This planet isn't just ours alone. We share it with many beautiful beings, from the smallest microbe to the biggest blue whale. I know many children are worried about the future, and we need to be prepared for a future that will be different from the one that our caregivers experienced. But I'm not worried. I'm being taught skills that will help me meet all these challenges. I've been taught that I can take action and even collaborate with others to protect nature in all its wild and wondrous forms. But what if this isn't my classroom and my school doesn't teach me all of this?
We're solving the problems of a previous generation. Is maths useful if there are no animals left to count? We have inspiring language teachers, but what if there are no forests left to describe?
But with Rangeet, my school is preparing me for today and for the future. What future do you choose? Welcome.
So I guess I hope everyone sort of got that video. It's really, what does the school of the future really look like? And how does the child actually respond to that? And it's great that we're here with the School of the Future Academy. And it's, we're discussing what that future might look like. And when we discuss the future, we really need to start with where we are and what problems we see or what solutions we're looking for. So I think that a lot of people on this webinar will agree that education is not equitable. And by that, I mean, inequities come from many different forms. Some are socioeconomic, some are a function of geography, some are a function of connectivity. You can have great inequities within the same school. Children learn differently. And so the two core things that Rangeet is trying to solve is inequities in learning, no matter where we are, and variability in learning. And why is variability in learning important? Because different children learn differently. Every child is amazing. Every child has different skills. And if we lose so much by not recognizing and nurturing children with different abilities. Karishma spoke about how maths, for example, frightened her, but she's an amazing designer. She thinks very closely and carefully about how children need to be nurtured. That's an important skill. Education is the starting point for everything. So that child is telling us her story about the skills that school is developing for her, the importance of that form of education, and then contemplates what her life would be like if she was not prepared for this future. So very quickly, the research is very clear. There will be 800 million children who do not have the skills to thrive by 2030. And that's across the world, and even including first world countries. And that's purely because the requirements, the job market, the requirements of the world are changing, but education is not changing fast enough to address it. So we need to start thinking about that. In India and across the world, policymakers are responding to this. So we have the National Curriculum Framework 2023, and before that, the NEP 2020, National Education Policy Body 2020, which started by saying that education needs to be holistic and it needs to develop different skills. How good is memorization, or how valuable is memorization in a world where you have ChatGPT and Google? I mean, I think we already know the answer to that. How valuable is education that is teaching us our times table in a situation where, the very sort of fabric of the world is changing? So we need to start thinking differently. This is not to say that foundation literacy and numeracy is not important. It is crucially important. But how we address that, how we even equip children to become better learners, that is something. International learning science has changed, and we can equip children to be much better at math than we could 40 years ago because we know how children learn. So these are the important things we need to be thinking about. Across the world, the dominant narrative, what people are talking about most, from UNESCO to the Brookings Institution to MIT to 100, the big narrative is climate change is dominating children's minds. Developing agency is crucial, right? What does agency mean? Agency means the belief that I can make a difference, the belief that I can make change. So agency is important. I think children are being fed a diet of fear, and that's not helpful for their emotional well-being. And that brings me to point number 2. Well-being is important for teachers, students, communities, and families. It's not an isolated thing. And lastly, whilst we are full believers in the core curriculum, we also need to think about a competency-based education model. And by that, I mean, think about a child who just lacks confidence and suffers in a math class. Developing that confidence through a variety of educational tools is important. We can do that. Or helping a child to become a better communicator or collaborator. These are the competencies, these are the suite of skills children need to thrive. And lastly, teachers are hit by heavy workloads. A lot of teachers on this call, teachers are hit by heavy workloads. Teachers are the core element in the educational ecosystem. If we do not focus on teachers, the entire education ecosystem suffers. We believe in using technology to enable teachers' experiences, pedagogy, and joy. That's the future. We're not believers in disintermediating teachers. That just doesn't work. So in a nutshell, we're looking to improve, to deliver equitable education to all children at scale. We want to respond to the requirements of the future. We want to develop climate agency, well-being, and competency-based models. And you teachers, you're the most important. We are working to respond to your needs. Can I have the next slide, please? So what is Rangeet? We're a digital platform. So our overall offering is a digital platform. And that platform allows any curriculum developer to upload their curriculum. And we have 2 parts to it. We have a mobile front end, which teachers use. So the students don't need a device. The teaching materials get loaded up onto a mobile device, and then teachers are able to teach. And very importantly, collect data at scale. Without important data from the field, we are unable to determine whether we are being effective. And on this digital platform sits our social, emotional, and ecological knowledge, or SEEK curriculum. And SEEK uses the latest in international learning science. Children learn best through play. So we use active play-based teaching methods to prepare children for the challenges of the future by developing competencies, their well-being, their belief that they can make a change, and their connection, global stewardship, their connection to all life on Earth. And that, we believe, is the future. And so we deliver this to teachers who then deliver it to students. Karishma will tell you about what Seek is. Can I have the next slide, please? So, like I said, we've got a mobile app. The mobile app sits in the hands of the teacher. Teachers deliver the curriculum and teach and collect, submit data. Very important to inform all of you that it's an app that works with very limited connectivity. What do I mean by that? We allow downloads of lessons onto the app so that you can go into all kinds of under-resourced settings and teach. You can collect data offline, come back to an internet cafe or your school or some other location, and all of it gets synced up. So we've designed this for very low resource settings. And indeed, because it's a mobile app, it does not need electricity all the time. And we've tested this out in all kinds of settings, from the most highly resourced schools in Mumbai to tin sheds in rice fields where there's no electricity, and it works really well. It's important to note that we've created this entire platform working very closely with teachers. Teachers are fundamental to our growth. Teachers, we have worked so closely with teachers to understand their needs, their pain points, to make everything from downloading the app. On this call, I have some of my colleagues who represent Rangeet in Rajasthan. I see that a few of them are here. Their feedback from working with teachers in a little district called Bharatpur, in a tiny area, where teachers came back and said, oh, we're very afraid of giving you XYZ data. Simplify this. We went back and forth with our team to simplify, to deliver to our teachers the best experience. That's just one example of how we really have sat right from the beginning to create a product that teachers love. Next slide, please. And for those who love data, we have a web backend, and the web backend allows program managers to support teachers at scale using data. How are the teachers enjoying it? How are the students enjoying it? We have coaches like our colleagues in Mumbai and Pune and Rajasthan who go and support a ton of teachers using their app, entering data about how prepared are the teachers or how are they finding the user interface. And then we get this data, and program managers get this data to really analyze and ensure that we are delivering this at scale, listening to our teachers at all points. So I'm going to hand over to Karishma, who will tell you about the Seek curriculum. I hope I haven't confused anyone, and we'll of course take questions later on and as we go along. Thanks, Karishma. You're up.
Thank you. As you can see on the screen, we have 3 umbrellas, and the reason you see them in a circle is because we believe each one of them is equally important. No one is more important than the other. Our hope is that this curriculum will connect the common strand of empathy for self with those around us in our societies and to all life on Earth in our ecological systems. And this connection will hopefully drive a change in our relationship with each other and the planet. Shuja, you can move on to the next slide. So as you can see, currently we have 3 umbrellas. Each of the umbrellas has 3 modules. And of course, we keep building on this. Each of our umbrellas, our modules is designed around the UN SDGs. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, we've done a little bit of a mapping so that you understand which module coincides with which SDG. So I'll very quickly give you an overview of each of our umbrellas. Our self umbrella gives children permission and explains the importance of being empathetic towards oneself. We can only look after those around us and by extension, the planet, if we respect our own bodies, minds, and rights. We encourage children to understand their emotions and the tools they have to control them, to cultivate positive emotions such as gratitude and empathy, and understand the beauty in perceived failure. It builds courage and resilience. To learn the value of physical and mental health, We equip them with tools to identify and cope with their mental health issues, whether it's within themselves or those around them. And very importantly, to ask for help. There is no shame in asking for help. In fact, asking for help is empowering. We also ask them to use their voice for those who may not have as loud a voice as theirs. For example, the elderly, people with disabilities, animals, so on and so forth. Our society umbrella rests on the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we help children recognize that it's all about perspective and putting themselves in someone else's shoes. If you don't like something being said or done to you, chances are the other person doesn't either. So think before you act, think before you speak. And by learning empathy, we will hopefully be kinder to and more forgiving of each other. And very importantly, children will learn to accept diversity as a strength. There's a beautiful Native American proverb that says, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. And our hope is that through the ecology umbrella, children understand the value of nature. You will only protect something if you love it. Nature has no back office with an accountant handing out an invoice for every drop of water we drink or every tree we chop down. But if there was, we'd be paying a lot for our ecosystem services that we're currently getting free. These ecosystem services are priceless. Every living creature, from the tiniest bee to the big blue whale, has value and purpose. So we must work towards respecting and protecting all life on Earth. You can move on, Shija. Okay, so what I described right now to you just now was our entire curriculum, and it can either be taught in the way that we have laid it out or prescribed, or a teacher can even do some activities, and I'll share some examples with you right now. This is an example of an activity called My Circle of Control, and it is from our self umbrella. What you are seeing on the screen is your golden circle of control. It's very important for children and frankly, even adults to understand what they are able to control and what is outside their circle of control. So I am going to ask all of you to please participate. You may put down your answers in the chat and tell us what, according to you, is within your circle of control and what is not within your circle of control. And Shrujna will type as quickly as she can based on your answers. Maybe I'll start just to break the ice. I cannot control what other people think about me. Oh, someone is writing behavior. Am I seeing someone? Has someone written behavior there, Shrujna? Or
yeah, I think
Yeah.
Mral has written behavior.
Okay, great. Yes, that's absolutely right. You can control your behavior. What else can we control and cannot control? You can share either. The traffic, yes, someone has written the, one second, let me go to the traffic. Sheetal has said not in my control. Very true. Happiness, my reactions, these are all in our control. And Circle of Nitya has said, is my clarity unthought process? That's great. What else? Can anyone else share? What about some of the things we cannot control? Oh, sorry, Shrujna. Mind and anger are things that we can control. Being honest with yourself. Manoj says literary rate. That is something that we cannot control, if I'm not mistaken. Cannot control the outcome of my work. Chaos, that's a good one. How to keep my sanity is in my control, good one, yes. Okay, that's great. Someone, Tarita has said, I can control my preparations in examination, that's right. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. So there's one more, person's anger. So you mean someone else's anger? So that's out of your control, I assume, yes? What else is there? Yes, Renisha has said others' reactions is out of her control. Very true. So the reason an activity like this is very important is when we feel like we do not have control, we feel a sense of anger. But it is also important to realize that you cannot control everything. The only thing or person you're in control of is yourself. And so understanding that and being able to harness that as a power, helps with our mental health and just being mindful. Shrujna, thank you for typing so fast. You can go on to the next activity. Maybe just can we erase behavior? It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay.
Behavior part, unfortunately.
It's
'cause
okay. Don't worry. So this is a game from our ecology umbrella, and it's called Hidden Culprits. So on first glance, this looks like a perfectly green, clean neighborhood. However, there are 14 earth negative culprits that are lurking around that are causing different types of pollution. I'm going to ask your help once again. Please put down in the chat box what you can find, and Shrujna will put a little red circle around it. Can anyone find 14 hidden culprits that are causing different types of pollution? Yes, the girl with the mobile phone, that's right, she's causing noise pollution. The factory, cars, yes, deforestation, water pollution, pest control, yes, on the tree, factory pollution, that's right. The guy throwing waste in the water, mills, that's correct, cutting trees. Street lights are on, very good, yes. Wastage of water, that's right. Leaking tap, correct. Yes, bonfire. Okay, excellent. And right at the back, there's the melting glaciers at the back. Fertilizers, yes, construction site. Okay, excellent. So, yes, water dripping from the tap. So what the way this game is played is for the younger children, and we have two age groups, 6 to 11 and 12 to 16. The younger age group have little black and white replacement images. And what we tell the children is these culprits are earth negative. They are given a little black and white replacement images. So for example, the leaking water faucet on the left, there's a little child turning the tap off. So these little kids color it in and paste them on this. And so what they are essentially doing is turning all these earth negative culprits into earth positive actions. And this just helps children feel a sense of agency. It helps them understand what they can do if this is their environment. And for the older children, of course, they are welcome to color images as well. But we ask them to think of solutions to these problems. This may not look exactly like their neighborhood, but surely they've seen at least one, if not more, of these issues. What would they do? How would they use a little bit of design thinking to find solutions to this? Thank you, everyone, once again for participating. Shrujna, you can go ahead. Okay, so these are just a few examples of our curriculum. This is again from our ecology umbrella, and it is a 5-part book series called The Social Life of Trees. In this, Miss Juniper, who is a treacher, because she's a tree who's a teacher, she takes her little saplings on many adventures through the forest. She teaches them about the beauty of trees, the beauty of old mother trees, and respecting the elderly because they have all this knowledge and information. She invites mushrooms who talk about the symbiotic relationship between fungi and trees and how one cannot live without the other, and the beauty of helping each other irrespective of species. Trees don't discriminate. They'll help each other no matter what type of tree or what type of species requires their help in any forest, because they understand that makes the whole forest healthy. Miss Juniper also takes the children to a tomato farm, and we'll be reading that story soon, so I'm not going to give anything away there. She also invites a sloth from Central America who talks to them about the beauty of biodiversity. And finally, she invites children into the forest to teach them about what they can do to work with and protect nature. You can go ahead. You can go ahead, Shrita. This is an example from our self-umbrella called Feather and Her Fireflies. And this teaches the children about the power of giving. The more you give, the more you get back. And this is something that Feather, who is the little elephant in the story, learns from her friends in the African savannah. You can go ahead. This is an example of a story on worrying. This little boy, his name is Worrywart, and he basically always wears this hat. At the end of the day, he puts all his worries in this hat, and the next morning when he wakes up, he puts this hat back on, and all the worries that were in the hat from the previous day are weighing him down. And people notice that he's getting shorter, and he finally figures out that the way to regain his height is to actually not hold on to his worries, but share his worries with his loved ones, his teachers, his caregivers, his friends, and he regains his height. Next slide. This is an example from our society umbrella. It is called Carry a Window and a Mirror with You, and it is based on what Emily Style, who is an educator, says. She says that when children learn, they should learn by looking through windows and looking into mirrors. And what does that mean? When you look into a mirror, you see people who look like you, people who speak the same languages, eat the same food, and there's that sense of comfort. But why do we often discriminate? Because we don't know that there are people different from us, who look different from us, eat different foods, have different cultures, wear different clothes. And so it's important to open a window for a child and allow them to travel without having to actually travel, which helps them understand and appreciate the beauty and diversity. And this is an illustrated poem that takes the children through a journey on all 7 continents, where hopefully they learn to appreciate the beauty in our diversity. You can go ahead.
I will now project Social Life of Trees for us to read out. Sorry, just give me a second. Okay.
Okay, so as I had mentioned, we are going to do, Simran, Shrujana, and I are going to read a story to you. This is part 3 of the Social Life of Trees, and it's called The Perfumer Tomatoes. You can go ahead.
Can you see?
Yeah, yes, now I can. Okay. Good morning, my saplings. I know it's early, but we have a long way to go before we reach the tomato farm. Let's go.
Miss Juniper, Maple isn't here yet.
She'll catch up, Spruce.
Wait for me. We're here. I see tomatoes.
Hello, Scarlett. Thank you so much for inviting us to your farm.
Hello, Miss Scarlett. Hello, Miss Scarlett.
Hello, Juniper. Hello, saplings. Welcome.
Whoa, look at all the tomatoes.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the next slide. Okay. Let's begin our tour. Who wants to take a peek inside the greenhouse? Watch your head, Juniper. Welcome to our greenhouse. Isn't it lovely? A greenhouse creates an artificial environment by careful control of temperature, light, humidity, air quality, soil moisture, and heat levels. This is really important to nurture the baby tomatoes you see on either side.
I think
Sorry.
Karishma's getting the
Yeah,
slide.
okay,
Okay.
now I see it. Sorry, I think there's a lag. I'd like to introduce you to my husband. He knows everything there is to know about us and spends all this time tending to the baby tomatoes. Where is he? He's always got his nose buried in the plants. Redman, where are you?
Oh, hello, my dear. Here I am. Welcome to our farm, Miss Juniper and saplings. There's so much to learn about tomatoes. Gather around and let's get started. Tomatoes, much like everything in nature, are remarkable. Like you, we communicate too, but through fragrances. When we're attacked, we release a toxin along with a cloud of fragrances to warn our friends and neighbors that danger is afoot. This helps them prepare a defense. Here's an anecdote you might enjoy. The fragrance we release is called methyl jasmonate, which is used by humans to make perfumes. When they come to our farm for research projects, humans are requested not to use perfumes because the methyl jasmonate in their perfumes confuses us and makes us think that we're always in danger.
Whoa, that's so cool. No way.
Yes way. Scientists and researchers conducted an experiment where they injured one tomato plant within a network of tomato plants. This was done with the use of a pathogen like a virus or a bacteria or an insect, like this slug here. Not only did the plant know it was being attacked, but it also knew who was attacking it. How did the tomato plant know that a slug was attacking it? We can identify our enemies through their saliva. The tomato plant immediately produced a fragrance that attracted flies and beetles who love eating slugs and helped in destroying the tomato plant's enemy. If a caterpillar were attacking it, the tomato plant would have produced a different fragrance to attract the caterpillar's enemy. That's really smart, even if I may say so myself. As you learned, mushrooms or fungi play an important role in plant nutrition and soil health, but they also act like a communication channel. The tomato plant communicates details of the attack through the fungal or mycelium network to neighboring tomato plants. On receiving the signal that the plants are being attacked, the tomato plants understand the message and regulate their defense system to combat the enemy. This makes the neighboring tomato plants more resistant to attacks because they are forewarned. Before we end the tour, I'd like to show you one more thing. You must have seen this beautiful field on your way here. Tomatoes grow as vines or as bushes. The tomatoes in the greenhouse are growing on vines. These tomatoes out here are growing on bushes. Did you know that whilst most people think of us as vegetables, we're actually a fruit? Fruits have seeds, so do we.
We cannot thank you enough, Redmond and Scarlett, for the wonderful day spent with you. We better make our way back before the sun sets. Goodbye, Juniper, saplings. Thank you for visiting us. We hope you come again. We hope you come again. I just like to ask everyone, did you all know beforehand that this is how tomatoes communicate through fragrance? Did anybody know that? Never, yeah. It's pretty cool. And what this basically tells us is that, you know, so often we're just passing by plants and trees and we don't really think about it, but they're actually living, breathing, communicating beings, and they're working together to ensure the health of the overall forest or ecosystem.
So, we like to spend a bunch of time when we are when we're talking about Rangeet and Seek, because we've taken a very, very unique approach to addressing this issue of well-being in a holistic way. Well-being really, as Karishma said, is about ourselves, how we're treated in society, and how much agency we feel to impact or have some kind of say in this whole climate dialogue. And it's so important for the future, so important for children and for ourselves. And so we really spend a lot of time, thinking about the best way to bring this to students and teachers globally and at scale to address the challenges of the future of education. So now we've got over 100 lessons. And the thing about Rangeet is it can be brought very flexibly into any classroom. So it can be taught as a curriculum. So we do a bunch of training at the beginning. It's really simple, which is basically orienting teachers about the app. And then to complete the entire curriculum, you can see here there are 39 lessons in our ecology umbrella, 46 in our self umbrella, and 39 in our society umbrella. So teacher will take in an academic, so assuming about 30 to 35 weeks in a year, and assuming Rangeet is taught once a week for about 45 minutes to an hour, this entire curriculum takes about 3.5 to 4 years to complete. It's extremely comprehensive. A curriculum. Why have we created a curriculum? Because just like teaching math requires weekly practice, to be good at English or Hindi or any language requires practice, so too learning about social, emotional, and ecological competencies takes practice. It's not something you can do twice in a year and think that everyone's mindsets are going to change. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, absolutely. The science is that we have to teach this as a curriculum. And so typically the way we've been working, we work across government schools, private schools. We work with NGOs. We work directly with schools. I'll tell you a little bit about where we're working in. In India, we work in this, like I said earlier, the state of Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Uttarakhand, and this is a multi-year program. And kids go through this, and we measure the impact of the program. So it starts off. Every umbrella starts off with a baseline test. And it ends with an end line test. So every year, there's one baseline, one end line. And then we collect data from every classroom interaction. How are the kids enjoying it? How are the teachers enjoying it? What are the coaches thinking about how the teachers are prepared and how they're executing it? So it's a very detailed process. And this curriculum is monitored in a lot of detail, and we respond very actively to all the feedback coming out of our classrooms. So in one sense, we deliver this as a curriculum. Sujana, can you continue? And this curriculum has been mapped in India to the NCF, NCRT. We meet all the expectations now, mapped by, and we've mapped to the NEP 2020. There's a detailed paper. Obviously, I'm not going to go through it here, but we've done a detailed mapping of how we fulfill the aims of the NCF 2023. But as we go into different countries and different systems, we do a mapping. So we are about to start working in the UAE, and one of my colleagues is on the call here, Renisha, and she does a mapping of Rangeet's well-being aspects to the HDA. We're also going into Nigeria and South Africa, and we would be doing a similar mapping. So going into a country is not just about translation, but it's very much about contextualization and ensuring that we are relevant to the local education system. Now, the next slide, please. And I said we could use Rangeet as a curriculum, but we can also use Rangeet in a very dynamic fashion in every classroom. So I'm just going to ask Sujana to stop sharing her screen for a second, and I'm going to just very briefly, show you how a teacher will use this. And I'm going to take up very little time here. So what I'm doing is I've got Rangeet loaded up on my phone, and I'm sharing my screen so that I can show you my screen. And now down here is the Rangeet app. I come in here. And just remember, this sits in the hands of the teacher. This is not a child-facing app. So I have got Rangeet loaded up in English and Hindi. It's in multiple languages. It's just in Marathi as well. So that's where we work. A teacher will hit the Start Teaching button, and as a curriculum go into an umbrella. There's lots of material in here to help the teacher to understand what they're teaching. This is the homepage for the ecology, a baseline test, an endline test. We go into Song of a Tree. Again, the teacher has all the material here. What are they going to teach? And this is the homepage of Song of a Tree. Karishma was talking to you about Miss Juniper. So she features in this. And these are the lessons. So I go into lesson 1. I have a class overview. And I go into the lesson. And so this is a series of activities. It's timed. And I can go from activity to activity. And it's a coherent lesson. Here's a lesson where I'm teaching the children. It's an icebreaker about the first lesson from the first book from Social Life of Trees. While I'm teaching this, I can search for items, I can bookmark, I can make notes. So as a teacher, I can very easily keep track of the entire lesson plan and make my own lesson plans. So it's very easy for me to prepare. I'm not going to go into the whole data submission section, but this is really where a teacher will come in and enter data about how their class went. And so essentially that's the format. The teacher gets trained. There's a ton of wherever there's a question mark is a video, a help video. And so there's a lot of help along the way for the teacher. And it's actually quite repetitive and very easy for the teacher to execute this in class, as per that Gantt chart that I showed. But I just want to show you one more thing, which is down here. And that's called Making My World Rangeet. And essentially, I have this toolkit in my pocket, and I say, I really want to develop collaboration skills in my children. And all our activities are tagged on these dimensions of skill development, subject, issued solving, teaching methods, and SDG teaching. And so if I just hit a search, I get a bunch of activities. So the way I'd like to communicate this to you is, think about this as I've just walked in to a classroom, right? I am an EVS teacher, and I'm trying to teach collaboration skills to my kids. I just go search, and hey, here I find that hidden culprits game. So I open that, and I can teach this as a standalone game in my classroom. So think about this. You're a teacher, you're coming into your classroom, you got 1 hour to teach your kids about pollution. Boom, you start with a game, you start with a story, you start with an art activity, and suddenly your kids are so engaged. And the science is very clear that children are going to find learning more engaging, learning more interesting, and the children are going to find, and you're going to find that your attendance goes up. We have data to prove this. Your attendance goes up, your kids are more engaged, and long-term learning outcomes are improving. Sujna, you can continue. And I just saw that we have Rayana Haq ma'am on the Zoom, and she was one of our absolutely first teachers in Bangladesh. So hi, Rayana ma'am. So good to see you here.
How are you?
One of our first
Great to
teachers
see you also.
who ever taught
Great to
Rangeet.
see you.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to wrap up really quick. Rangeet has been featured as a model for play-based learning in 2020 by the US think tank Brookings Institution, and our app in 2022 was featured as one of the top 3 digital apps for data, real-time data collection and visualization. Let's go to the next slide. We've come a long way from when we started in Bangladesh. We have over 200,000 unique students who have been through our program, and the improvement in terms of many dimensions, in terms of baseline versus endline improvement, teacher engagement, coach engagement, and indeed the sort of anecdotal evidence we see from the field and attendance has been astounding. Next slide, please. And so essentially we teach in 3 different contexts. We teach in classrooms and community centers and with families. So it's really flexible. Imagine sitting with your family at home, wanting to improve the well-being of your own child, but you just don't know how. We're giving you an app to do that. In fact, we are hoping to work with a very large education organization in Mumbai who work with 2 million mothers to equip them with our well-being app. And hopefully small steps, we start with maybe 5,000 of them, and then we scale up. So very exciting ways to actually implement in many different settings. With Raihana ma'am in Bangladesh, we worked with one of the largest organizations in Bangladesh called BRAC, and with the government. But we also went to these really small community centers and implemented Rangeet. Let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to wrap this up. We've worked with a number of different members and organizations. One of them is Oxford University Press India, who approached us when NCF 2023 came out. And in response to that, they looked at our curriculum, our SEEK curriculum very closely, and we developed a grade 1 to grade 8 wellness series, workbook series that was based on SEEK, which is now being distributed to sort of higher end ICSE, CBSE schools in India. But Rangeet's goal is to go to all schools in all settings, through technology, at scale, at very low cost. Last slide. Okay, Sujna, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of times we like to say the words happy teachers equals happy classrooms. So before I explain why that's important to us, it would be really cool if everyone here on call could just survey along with us, which will sort of put you guys in a space where we can explain why we're talking about happy teachers. In case you are not comfortable using a QR code, I am also sending this survey on the chat box right now. You will see I've sent a link. You can also access the survey using this link. If you click on it, then you will reach a page that looks like this, which says, welcome, your responses will remain anonymous. The questionnaire is very short. I would request everyone to please take the questionnaire. It will only take maybe 5 minutes of your time. And then in the chat box, if you can put in when you're done, then that would be great. For everyone who wants to do this with me, I can do it as well. The first section is getting to know you. This is just simple questions where you have to put in your age, your gender, teaching experience. And while we're doing this, I just want to remind everyone, all of these answers are anonymous. We're not going to share this with third parties. We're not going to give your data away to anybody. This is simply an activity for us together today to understand about where you as teachers are in terms of your well-being. So as you can see, it's very simple. You just have to select a few answers, and it's just asking about simple things about how you spend your time in the day. Do you use social media apps? If you don't use social media apps, please feel free to say you don't. There's no judgment. There's no wrong answer. All you have to do is put in, like I, for example, love art. So I'm going to just put in art. And after the 13 questions is the second section, which is about your well-being and you. You will understand why we've phrased it like that, because at first we're asking about if you know what mental health means, if you know what well-being means. And after that, we start asking you about how much time you spend on yourself. And this is really the important part, because after this, I will show you the results of all of your answers live. And you might be a little surprised to see how much time you as teachers or principals are spending on yourself. And that's really the important part. So you, as you can see, it's pretty simple to just select different answers over here. Make sure that you're answering everything, because if you don't, then it says this field is required. So as you can see, it's all pretty simple about what are the kind of biggest challenges you're facing while you're maintaining your well-being. For example, someone might just say they don't have a lot of time, or they might not have the kind of resources that they need, so on and so forth. And then the last question will say submit, which you have to click. It'll say please wait and then say thank you. So everyone who's reached the thank you page, please put it into the chat box that you have. And then I will show you guys a little bit of a live report so we can talk about why I said earlier, happy teachers equals happy classrooms. If in case you're feeling a little bit shy about putting in your answers right now, don't worry, we can skip showing the report. I totally understand. But I would encourage everyone here who is a teacher or a principal or any sort of teaching staff to please take this survey. Why we ask these questions is because when we take a moment to stop and think about how we're spending our time, that's when we realize that we actually don't spend a lot of effort on our own well-being. At Rangeet, we believe that teachers are extremely hardworking, but have one of the most important jobs. And because of doing a job like this, it's very easy to feel pressurized, to feel like you don't have the right kind of support. And this shows when it comes to how you teach your children. And if you are supposed to teach your children about social, emotional, and ecological knowledge, it starts with you. So the most important thing is to remember that it's not just about bringing joy back to the classroom for your children, but it's also important to bring joy back to the classroom for yourselves. So right, I will not force everyone to do it right now immediately, but again, it would be great if you could do this at your own time, and we will send this link out again later as well. Karishma, back to you.
So sort of in connection with what Shrujana was talking about, happy teachers equal happy classrooms is sort of the importance of teachers looking after their own mental well-being as well. This is something that we are working on. Obviously, the curriculum that we presented earlier was directed at children, which the teachers teach. But in this instance, we're working with a company called Behavioral Foresight. And as you can see on the screen, they are a performance and health intelligence company, and they work with some of the top athletes in India. Some of the cricket team members work with them. They essentially teach people how teach people about mindset. And when you spend money, you typically don't spend more than you have saved in a bank. If you do, you sort of are in debt. Why don't we look after our mental health in the same way? We want to make sure that we are never in psychological debt, and we need to look after our own mental well-being. As teachers, it's important that you all are happy so that you all can spread that happiness in the classroom. And this is something that we're working on, and very excited to share it with you soon, hopefully. Simran, you're on mute.
There is no presentation complete without someone saying you're on mute. So that's good. We Matt got that right. This is a really famous saying by Henry Ford, who was the inventor of the automobile, where he said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And very similarly, Thomas Edison said that if when we had just candles, people would have asked for bigger candles instead of the light bulb. So people don't really know, big inventions and big change happens and people don't really know what they're looking for. So let's go to the next slide. The same thing is true for so many things in history with the internet and mobile phones, so it's a big change. And that big change needs to happen in education. We have to prepare children for the challenges of the future. The people of the future who are going to be dealing with things like climate change, the wars of the future, so on and so forth, are our children. But we are trying to dictate for them what they need. Really, sometimes the answer lies with the kids, because we've gone and been unfair to each other. We've created wars. We've destroyed pristine ecosystems. We've brought climate change upon us. So all of this changes with education. If we want to change how we respond to climate change, it's in education. If we want to change politics and fairness, it's in education. If we want to change education, it's by changing education. So we're hoping that this solution, which is in our reach, will help us to overcome the challenges, and it will really develop the skills of the future amongst children, which is agency, well-being, and global stewardship. So I wanted to thank Natasha and George, all of Sophia, for hosting us today. It's been wonderful being here. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has joined us. And we hope to hear from you in the future, and hope we've made some sense, and we're here to answer some questions. Natasha, over to you.
You made total sense, and it was very inspiring. It was very interesting. Thank you very much, Rangeet team, for sharing your amazing work with us. It was amazing. It was, I'm sure that the teachers have gotten a lot of ideas. From the Sophia part, we have 15 minutes ahead of us. You can keep on sending questions and remarks about Rangeet, the SICK curriculum, and their application. They will be available to answer in the chat. And then if you want, I'll leave 5 minutes in the end if you want to open your microphones and ask further questions. Meanwhile, I wanted to speak to you about Sophia, our organization, and the work that we do, and using this curriculum, this opportunity you are presented to incorporate this curriculum into your environment. I will give you some quick tips and advice on how to do that in the most effective way. If you are a person who wants to do it in a more strategic kind of way, as Simran mentioned earlier, it can work both ways. It can work from an parent at home to their students, to their children, or from an individual teacher in their school or in a school as a whole. So for those of you that don't know us, I'm sharing my screen. Sophia is a non-profit organization. We are based in London, UK, but we operate globally. We are in a mission to empower school leaders and educators with effective training on specifically on effective processes and techniques they can use together with technology in order to improve the school's operations. We work with teachers and school leaders from all over the world. We are very focused on Europe, Africa, and now India. And we have worked with other organizations to provide training in specific groups of teachers and school leaders in the US. Our founder is Mr. Dukas. He is third generation of a school owner of a very prestigious school in Athens, Greece, and he has all the, the knowledge and skills that he has imparted in our awarded framework of school administration. And our areas of focus are consulting and mentoring, training and communication, and collaboration and networking. For example, this workshop is falling under our training and communication spectrum of activities. So what we do is that we help school leaders and teachers like you to do things easier and better. In our case, in the case that you want to work with incorporating a new curriculum into your environment, First of all, you need to be sure that you understand what Simran said earlier, that he said that SIG is a comprehensive curriculum. What do we mean by this? We mean that it's a curriculum that is blending formal and non-formal learning, targeting for a holistic educational experience. And I'm sure that all of you have understood the importance of this. It's important because it addresses the child as a whole, both academically, as Simran also said earlier. There's research that shows that when we incorporate more kind of activities and skills, the development of skills into our lessons, students tend to improve their academic performance. Of course, it helps them socially and emotionally to develop. Benefits also include soft skills development, flexibility and adaptability, lifelong learning, and improved practical applications of their skills. All of this just by incorporating a more comprehensive curriculum compared to the traditional one that your government has provided you with. Now, we don't go into our school environments one day and say, you know what, I thought of that and I'll start by doing it tomorrow, because it might work in one classroom, but it won't work in the school as a whole. And our approach, what we advise you to do is follow this process. First, identify your resources. Now you have done that in this meeting already, in this workshop, you have identified SIG curriculum as a valid resource that you can bring into your classroom or into your school environment if you're a school leader. Then you try to gather data. You try to collect input from stakeholders. And when we say stakeholders, we mean students, teachers, parents. You try to identify that these people actually need this approach and that it will give them, everything that they have been waiting for in your educational environment. Then you do an initial meeting. If you're a school leader, with all your staff, if you're a teacher, with your the parents of your students, and you develop the comprehensive education plan. This can be just the Gantt chart, this program Simran and Karishma shared with us earlier. So Rangeet has already helped you complete 2 out of the 3 first steps. What you need is to collect data in order to be able to prove to the parents and to the teachers that you actually need this, because because of all the workload and how busy we all are, we sometimes don't realize what we need. Then you define the framework. Again, in our example, in the SIG curriculum, you have the framework already done. If you are developing something else, you will need to make it from scratch. And then you collaborate. You outline the program and you collaborate with other teachers and in your environment to bring it to life, to bring it to your students. If you follow these steps and if you collect data and if you do this meeting and if you define the framework and be ready to present it to stakeholders, you will have the security and you will have the open ears from your educational community on the need and what steps you have decided to take in order to cover these needs. In order to be even more convincing in your educational environments, you need to be monitor trends. When we say trends, we don't mean superficial stuff. We mean stuff like what Karishma shared earlier, the Sustainable Development Goals, for example. If you focus on following these international research and trends and analyze the current country and international educational demands, you'll be better prepared on how to go and convince your educational environment that you need a comprehensive curriculum. Implement changes into your existing curriculum and check and monitor if they have worked, and if not, try to make changes that will make them work. And then maintain records. Keep records, and we can give you a number of technology tools that can help you do this. Keep records on what went well, what didn't, and how you can improve the quality of the comprehensive curriculum you are providing your students with. Here, I give you some more information, and we will share the presentation in the chat in a minute. I give you some examples on how you can take these 5 steps and implement them in your environment. For example, in the planning and preparation stage, you need to define objectives, not in isolation, but with your team, identify stakeholders, select data, and develop tools. Of course, in our case, with a SIG curriculum, you don't need to develop the tools. You have the platform already made for you. Then when you collect data, you need to conduct surveys like the one, Srijana gave us a minute ago. A simple survey like this can give you a lot of input on what it is that your students need. You can take these 3 circles that the SIG curriculum is providing you with and, make a quick research, a quick survey in your environment to see what exactly your students it is that they need, and start with this. Then when you compile the data, you organize it in a presentable way and you bring it to the teachers and to parents to justify why you feel that things need to go this way. And then you do data analysis for your own sake. I'm not going to go, like, we have 6 minutes left, so I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but we have outlined the procedure here for you in order to have it. Again, I say that this is a general procedure for any curriculum, any comprehensive curriculum. In the example we've been discussing today, in the SIG curriculum, a lot of these are already given to you by Rangeet. Then I'm giving you more information on how to start these meetings with your team to convince them on the importance of incorporating a comprehensive curriculum like this in your school environment. If you are a school leader, that will work better for you. You will need to present your vision, what it is the end goal, what do you want your students to leave the school having after you have incorporated this curriculum. Review the 8-step process I gave you earlier, resource assessment, tell them about the platform, tell them about the application, give them the resources and assess them all together to see how they cater for your needs. You take inputs. Don't forget that, when you go in a meeting like this with your school community, be open to hear their opinions. Formation of working groups is a very good way to start incorporating the curriculum into your school. Maybe you want to have a group of 2 or 3 teachers at the beginning, bringing it in their classrooms, and then these become, ambassadors of the new curriculum to the whole school, and the teachers become ambassadors in the students' community. And then you go to next steps and action items. In the meeting, you decide how you will implement these changes in your school environments. You define the framework. If you are not working with a predefined framework like the one we're discussing today, this is what you do after the initial meeting with the stakeholders. And incorporating actions is what you do in any case. So if you decide that you want to bring a comprehensive curriculum like this in your environment, you need to make an action plan. When are you going to start? How are you going to incorporate it? Step-by-step procedures. Of course, the Rangeet Simon showed you earlier has already given you this, and you don't have to do it. Then you allocate resources. Again, in our case, it's given. You do teachers training and professional development. People from Rangeet correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they do it for you as well. Like, they will train your teachers on how to implement the curriculum. This is correct. Curriculum integration. You start when, how, where. These are all decisions that need to be made before you actually tell your teachers to start it. You pilot the program and you get feedback. Start in 1 or 2 classes for a month, collect feedback, and then expand in your whole educational environment. Monitor and evaluate the process and how it works, and then communicate and request support. Don't forget to let the parents know of all the benefits their children have by incorporating a comprehensive curriculum, and prove with data how it has helped them develop certain skills and capabilities. And this answers to why we engage stakeholders. Last but not least, in order to engage stakeholders, don't just send emails out, but develop a communication strategy tailored to your group, and do further meetings and surveys in order to analyze a little bit more what you have sent them through your communication strategies. We can go into many details on how to incorporate a new curriculum. What is the approach I just briefly presented you with, but I'll stop here. I don't want to take your time. I will leave in the chat, now that we have started communicating, I will leave in the chat a little survey on what more training you require as teachers or school leaders. Just give me 1 second. Especially in your learning environments, and we will make sure to provide you with the extra support you need. Sorry for rushing you through the process. As I said before, I will send you the presentation in the chat now, if I can attach it, and then we will send them to you in an email. We'll send it to everybody who has registered for this event. I'm very, very happy to have seen all of you joining us today. I'm pretty sure that if you are very careful with the way you incorporate and introduce such an interesting and valuable curriculum into your environments, you will have the maximum of results, and it will impact a lot the skills development of your students, as well the teachers, allow me to say, because when we teach something to our students, we teach it to ourselves at the end of the day. That was all from the Sophia part. I'm leaving our website here as well. George left it earlier. We will happy to see you again in future events.